Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. Word in the street is Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howard because they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tie her shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha Howard...
Caitlin Clark didn't just cook on the court. She lit the fuse before tip-off. Reports say she clashed with Coach Stephanie White in a fiery pregame exchange that had the locker room on edge. No punches, just passion. And then Clark went out and turned that tension into pure dominance. Atlanta came for a game, but got a masterclass in revenge instead. Strategy? Maybe. Statement? Absolutely. The drama was real, and the scoreboard told the rest. Let's break down the firestorm that followed.
Today, there's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when the offense was ran through Caitlin Clark. There's no surprise that the offense looked best tonight when we pushed the ball off of a make, pushed the ball off of a miss. There's no surprise that the Indiana Fever looked best tonight when Caitlin Clark was surrounded by players that don't have an ego, surrounded by players that said, I'm going to be MVP of the WNBA this year. You see how easy it is when you just let Caitlin play ball and others follow suit?
So there was Caitlin, game in motion, adrenaline high, crowd electric. And what does she do? She stops, drops, and calmly ties her shoes right in front of the Fever bench. No rush, no panic, just pure, I already know I'm not getting the ball back energy. It wasn't disrespect, it was resignation. Howard had the rock and Clark had the receipts. That slow lace-up, it spoke louder than any timeout. A silent protest in sneakers. A statement without a single word.
If you guys didn't see Natasha Howard looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter. She looked off Caitlin Clark to end the third quarter in what was just incredibly dumb play. And again, if you didn't see here, Natasha Howard looks off Caitlin Clark to run to nowhere, takes 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 steps, does the cha-cha slide, and gets it to Caitlin Clark with 3 seconds to go, and she has to shoot a tough step back. Instead of letting Caitlin Clark push the pace and go and hit someone with an assist or something.
Caitlin might as well have filed an HR complaint titled Ball Possession Discrimination, because once it left her hands, it was gone, like unpaid internships in August. That shoe tying moment? Not about laces. It was performance art. A silent clapback, a sarcastic timeout that screamed, y'all do your thing. I'll just be over here making sure my ankles don't catch strays while you freestyle turnovers. It was petty perfection. A resignation letter disguised as double knots and deadpan patience.
Gutty performance from Caitlin Clark in what was an encouraging win for the Fever over the Dream. You know, the loss to the Golden State Valkyries would have you thinking the Fever need to be relegated and kicked out of the WNBA. But that's why you don't crash out too hard after one bad game. It's been an inconsistent ride for Indiana and for Clark as well, who's had to fight through a lot of injuries. But I think the encouraging thing from Cece was the fight that she showed on the floor. Clearly, she's not quite at 100%, still working her way back, hasn't found her 3-ball yet. But what she did...
And here's where it gets messier than a group project with zero communication. Howard's not just forgetting Caitlin, she's rewriting the whole offensive script as a solo act. Every trip down the court feels like a one-woman audition for a role nobody cast her in. It's Nalissa Howard live in concert with no ensemble, no passing, and absolutely no co-stars. Caitlin, she's the lighting technician. Present, essential, and completely ignored. Team ball? Nah, this is ego ball in high definition.
A half where we had Caitlin off ball and sitting a lot. Sitting on the bench, rotting away in the first half. And the second half where, oh my God, she's in the game. Oh my God, they're giving her the ball. Oh my God, they're letting her dictate tempo. It's not rocket science, folks. It really is not. Oh, did I forget to mention the Indiana Fever beat the Atlanta Dream 99-82. The Atlanta Dream come into Indiana and walk out with an L as we celebrate with a W.
If you're enjoying, please leave a like and subscribe our channel. It's wild, because Caitlin Clark didn't fly into the league on a broomstick of hype for no reason. She's not just a scorer. She's a playmaker, a walking highlight package, and someone who literally stretches defenses with just her existence. And yet somehow, Howard seems to think feeding her the ball is optional, like it's a favor. Like giving Caitlin the rock is somehow an audition she hasn't passed yet. But make no mistake, this isn't just ego, it's sabotage with a smile. There's this low-key delusion that Howard's the real alpha in the room, that she's the true franchise engine, and Caitlin is just a noisy new model with bright headlights. Except the difference is, Caitlin Clark comes with horsepower, GPS, and a built-in highlight reel. Howard? She's still trying to parallel park with her eyes closed. And fans see it. Oh, they see it like it's playing on 4K loop. The moment Howard gets the ball, you can feel the offense dying in real time, like watching someone slam on the brakes during a fast break just to reread the playbook mid-air. And then Caitlin's off to the corner, or tying her shoes, or probably calculating advanced stats in her head to make the pain go away.
Okay, so let's start off with this, man. The game plan to stop the Dream from winning. And the main thing they were doing on defense, the Indiana Fever, was trying to collapse the defense on the bigs. Now, I get it. Brittany Griner, Bree Jones, they cooked us the first time we ever played them. And, you know, they are a really tough front court. But my thing is, if you have Jordan Canada shooting the way she was shooting from the three, just adjust, all right? Change the game plan, fam. You cannot continue to try to collapse on the big.
You know it's bad when the team's best passer decides the shoelaces are more interesting than the offense. It's a silent protest. Like, cool, you go ahead and isolate. I'll just be down here tightening my Air Jordans and reviewing the laws of physics while you launch another contested brick. The dynamic between Clark and Howard is a lesson in chaos theory. Every time Caitlin makes a pass, it's like she's opening a mystery box. Will the ball come back? Will it vanish into the black hole of personal stat padding? Will it trigger a heroic 1-on-5 drive into 3 defenders and the backboard? Who knows? Because Howard operates like she's being auditioned by a fantasy league commissioner, rather than her actual coach. This isn't a chemistry problem, it's a full-on science experiment gone rogue. Caitlin's trying to conduct a symphony, and Howard's out here playing air guitar on repeat. The irony? When Clark actually does get the ball back, on the rare occasion the sun aligns with Mercury in retrograde, it results in buckets. Easy, beautiful, smooth buckets. But instead of building on that, Howard seems determined to treat those moments like rare Pokemon sightings. Fun, but too dangerous to chase.
Physicality against the defenders by putting her head down and going to the basket. That opened things up for her playmaking, which of course is another genius aspect of her game. Once that started clicking, the Fever ran away with things. Sophie Cunningham was everywhere. Clark had it going with Aaliyah Boston again. Kelsey Mitchell was cooking. And all of a sudden, you look up and the Fever are lighting up the scoreboard. But you saw Clark sort of gaining her rhythm as the game went along, sort of returning to her form as the game went along, finding that pep in her step as the game went along.
The result? Clark's got to create magic with limited touches, make plays in the 0.5 seconds the ball exists in her hands, and then do it all while pretending like she doesn't notice the glaring shade from her own teammate. And let's be honest, if Clark wanted to be ignored and underused, she could have just joined a corporate meeting and brought donuts. But here's the kicker. Even with all the sabotage, even with all the passive-aggressive freeze-outs, Caitlin still takes over, still scores, still slices through defenses like a hot take on Twitter. She doesn't need favors. She needs spacing and a sliver of oxygen. That's it. The rest she handles with pinpoint vision and three-pointers from another dimension. And yet Howard keeps pushing the main character narrative like it's a high school musical, and Caitlin's just the understudy. It's performance art, really. The audacity to treat one of the league's biggest rising stars like she's the rookie intern who's only allowed to refill the coffee pot. The delusion is so thick you could cut it with a Gatorade bottle cap. And let's not forget, this isn't the first game it's happened. There's a whole playlist of moments where Clark gets iced out, while Howard tries to do her best impression of a solo act gone off-screen. It's like watching a two-player video game where only one controller works and the other person just throws snacks at the screen.
Build more continuity on both ends of the floor. And I think you've seen it in spells. But again, now we reintegrate C, we reintegrate DD, and we've got to be able to
reintegrate C, reintegrate DD. No. You keep like Caitlin Clark and Dantas is not the same type of thing. Dantas is somebody that got to get in where she fit in. Yeah, she needs to be reintegrated and figure out, okay, this is what they doing. Caitlin Clark don't need to figure out, oh, this is what they doing. Y'all, this thing was supposed to be built upon Caitlin Clark's strengths. It's that simple. It's that simple. What's wild is you had the easiest get.
But Clark, oh, she's not sweating it. She's bending down and tying those shoes like it's the NBA Finals, baby. That's not defeat. That's composure wrapped in sarcasm. It's the WNBA version of sipping tea. Because deep down, she knows. She knows this entire experiment will eventually implode on itself. And when it does, who's going to be there holding the stat sheet and the crowd's attention? Not the ball hog in the corner trying to play point forward with tunnel vision. No. It'll be Caitlin, every time. And the funniest part? Clark doesn't even need to clap back. Her game is the clap. Every smooth assist, every step back three, every single moment she turns a broken possession into a highlight. That's the rebuttal. That's the bless your heart in game form. And Howard? She'll still be out here trying to prove she's the sun, while the whole basketball universe already knows who's generating gravity. Honestly, if Caitlin wanted to be petty, she could just start bringing a folding chair mid-game. Every time she passes the ball, she could set up shop, cross her legs, and crack open a magazine labeled, How to Sabotage a Superstar in 10 Easy Steps. Because that's the level of absurdity we're working with.
All right, y'all, so I'm getting concerned. I'm getting concerned about Caitlin Clark's future with the Indiana Fever because it's not just that they're losing these games, it's the manner in which they're losing. It's the low shot attempts from Caitlin Clark. It's the low usage from Caitlin Clark. It's the having her in the corner, coming off these screens, getting the ball on the wing, and then her losing the basketball, keep getting the ball in these unfavorable positions. She is at her best when she's pushing it up the floor, coming off the screen with the Leah Boston. You're not even doing that anymore. It seems like the Indiana Fever aren't prioritizing Caitlin Clark's growth as a player, but what they're prioritizing is the system of basketball that Stephanie White has ran throughout the entirety of her career.
And through it all, the fans don't miss a beat. Social media lights up every time Clark goes full Houdini without touching the ball. Every time she gets frozen out like it's a middle school lunch table feud, the memes write themselves. Because when your generational player is being benched by her own teammate's ego, the comedy almost writes itself. Yet Caitlin doesn't flinch. She just plays. She just takes over when the clock runs low and the game's on the line. She ties those shoes like she's tying loose ends on a bad subplot. Because whether or not Howard ever figures it out, the truth remains. The show only starts when Caitlin Clark touches the ball. And if Howard wants to keep pretending this is her team, fine, let her. Just don't be surprised when the real takeover begins after the drama dies down and the laces are double knotted. Get Tash Howard off the floor. Seriously. If the Indiana Fever are running a science experiment to see how many possessions a single player can derail while dribbling in place, then sure, keep her out there. But if this is basketball, then someone needs to hit the waiver button like it's a fire alarm.
We're going to talk about that in the morning, bro. So much stuff happened behind the scenes between Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White. Then we got Sophie Cunningham speaking to the media tonight, but so much stuff happened.
She clogs every lane like a plumbing issue that just won't quit. The second Caitlin Clark checks in, Howard's game somehow evaporates into confusion and congestion. It's like she sees spacing and says, "Oh no, we can't have that," then proceeds to park herself right where Clark's passing lanes should be. She's not cutting, she's not screening, she's standing in the paint like it's her personal charging station, killing offensive flow like it's a paid sponsorship. And the wildest part? She genuinely thinks she's the star of the team, like delusion in high defense, waving her hands like a traffic cop with a megaphone. Nope, Tasha's heading up the court in slow motion, scanning the floor like she's LeBron reincarnated in a fever dream, only to barrel into a double team and toss up a floater that clangs so hard it triggers car alarms outside the arena.
Easiest gig in the business. You went and blew it. You went and just made the job 10 times harder than what it needed to be. I've never seen somebody fumble a incredible talent like this. Generational, once in a lifetime player like this. I've never seen somebody fumble the bag this easy. This was an easy bag. Stephanie White, this was an easy bag, bro. All you had to do was focus on the defense and let Caitlin handle the offense. But you're fixated on this trash offense you brought from Connecticut that nobody wants to run.
And don't even start on her shot selection. It's like a roulette wheel with all the numbers replaced by bad decisions. Meanwhile, Clark is just trying to play chess while Howard's still arguing with the checkers board. The energy mismatch is so intense it could power a small city. Now here's where things get spicy. When Caitlin's off the floor, Howard suddenly finds her groove. Or at least, she believes she does. More touches, more awkward mid-range shots, more self-importance. It's like she finally gets to live out the fantasy where she's the offensive anchor. Except, instead of anchoring the team, she's dragging the whole thing to the bottom of the standings. But the truth is brutal and simple. The Fever are better without her, so much better. You pull Tash and Bree out of this equation and suddenly, boom, the offense has room to breathe. It's hard to tell if she's playing basketball or just out there doing cardio with a jersey on. Remove both? Suddenly you've got a team. A real team. One that moves with purpose, finds open shooters, and actually executes plays instead of reenacting solo montages.
Still struggling with her shot, but in the second half, it looks like Stephanie White let her go. Stephanie White was like, all right, we need to get this W. Go ahead and get us this W, Caitlin. And listen, Caitlin, she's got a horrible whistle. Sophie Cunningham has a better whistle than Caitlin. The only person on the team with a worse whistle than Caitlin is probably Aaliyah Boston. But even with that bad whistle, she keeps fighting. She keeps going. I mean, she's getting held and hacked, and she's getting defended unlike anybody else on the court. Even when it's good defense, it's just in her jersey.
Caitlin becomes the general she's built to be. Dissecting defenses, launching lasers, controlling tempo, and the rest of the squad doesn't have to tiptoe around teammates with main character syndrome. There's nothing more frustrating than watching Clark cook up a perfect possession, moving defenders like chess pieces, only for the ball to end up in Howard's hands and immediately die there. It's like watching a Michelin star chef craft a 5-course meal, only for someone to dump ketchup on it and call it dinner. And the defense? Let's talk about that too. They're not worried, they're excited. It's like handing out coupons for free layups. Meanwhile, Caitlin's out here taking elbows, drawing charges, and running herself into the ground trying to make something happen. But there's only so much you can do when you're surrounded by a couple of human traffic cones. It's no wonder the moment Howard goes to the bench, the team looks competent. The ball starts zipping, movement comes back, and spacing, actual beautiful spacing, returns like it was hiding in the locker room waiting for permission to come out. Suddenly, you've got shooters getting open, drives that don't end in disaster, and fans who don't want to walk out before halftime.
Got an op in the building, y'all. The locker room has been corrupted. It's clear as day. It's clear as day. The one single thing Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston asked this joke of a front office to do was protect the locker room. Do you think they did it? I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. You let me know if you think they did it. Of course they didn't do it, bro. Of course they didn't do it. The locker room is in shambles. It's a joke. We got an op in the locker room. And I don't even know if it's all the way her fault. I believe Stephanie White is a pure liar. I believe Stephanie White and Amber Cox and them lied to Dewana Bonner about...
The WNBA is not the place for ego-driven minutes. It's the place for smart basketball, cohesion, and letting generational talent do what they do. And right now, Tash is the gatekeeper of chaos, the uninvited +1 to every offensive set. It's not personal, it's performance. And her performance screams waiver wire. Let her take those ISO dreams somewhere else. Someplace where the stakes are lower and the delusions can breathe. Because this isn't about one player hogging the spotlight. It's about one player holding back a team with potential. And let's be brutally honest, no one buys tickets to watch the Caitlin Clark show get interrupted by brickfests and blockages. That's a blueprint. Clear the floor, free the offense, and let the best player run the show without having to dodge her own squad's self-sabotage missions. Because here's the kicker. With the right pieces, Caitlin Clark turns this entire franchise around. Not in 5 years, not after a rebuild, now. But that only happens if the court isn't clogged with players mistaking bad habits for leadership. If Indiana wants to stop spinning its wheels and start winning games, the fix isn't complicated. It's just sitting on the bench. Or better yet, on a flight out of town. If you enjoyed leaving a like and subscribing, more videos are on the screen now.